brand new book is titled Lunacy, The Curious Phenomenon of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, 50 years on. Us and them. Us and them. I want to ask you about. I always thought of that as the haves and the have nots, but Roger's talking about various topics here: wars, civil liberties, racism, color
I
prejudice.
think I think that he was at a point of being all inclusive here, not exclusive. I think that Roger became more exclusive in his ideas and his politics as he's uh, gone on rather than inclusive. But I'm sure people can argue with me about that. And I am not the greatest scholar of Roger Waters, so I wouldn't want to say, but this leads us to the very last track on the album where he's uses the word all over and over again. He is that piece to me is up there with, and maybe this sounds ridiculous, but it's up there with the Ode to Joy. I mentioned the Ode to Joy in the book, Beethoven's Ode to Joy. This is one of the great, beautiful coda endings in music, and he is just saying all that you see, all that you feel, all. And I don't know if he was influenced by Daltrey and Townsend and Tommy,
Hmm.
when he's singing "See Me, Feel Me, Touch Me,"
Right. Yeah.
it seems to be a continuum in a way, but that's just a human emotion and a human. Uh, Roger, I think, is at his most human here. I won't say humane, but I'll say human. He is at his most human here. There is what's the first sound we're hearing and the last sound we're hearing? A heartbeat.
Right. Right.
Here it is his most elemental and his most human here. And I praise him for this. I love that those aspects of this music.
See you on the dark side of the moon. What is he saying, or who is he saying it to?
Well, yeah, it's really metaphorical, of course, I mean, it's really, and then I asked Dr. Bobrowski, well, is there a dark side of the moon? The astronomer. Is there a dark side of the moon? Does the dark side of the moon even exist? And of course, that's the great paradox. It only exists to us from our vantage point on Earth. When you're out in the flying around in the great cosmos, when we lose our bodies and we'll be flying around in the cosmos for a little while, it'll be revealed to us perhaps that there is no such thing as the dark side of the moon, that the dark side of the moon is just maybe a myth or a whim or some kind of, a projection that we have from our vantage point on Earth. Of course, it's metaphorical as he's speaking to Sid Barrett. Yes, in certain ways. It depends which day of the week you asked Roger, because he said yes about it being about it being Sid, and no, it's not about that. It's also about the dark side of your mind. He could be saying the dark side of your mind. And Roger is basically telling you to follow the light here. The great cynic himself, the master of all these really dark Orwellian visions. And he's great at it. Don't get me wrong. He's great at it. Animals is a really brilliant, and The Wall, though I almost can never listen to it, and I certainly couldn't watch the movie. I was not a fan of it at all. And I went to see the hitchhiking show with Clapton playing guitar at Madison Square Garden. And there were certain things that of course, as a craftsman and all of that, I really appreciated it. But, there's so much darkness in the world. There's so many problems that I thought maybe by now, with all the protests I've gone to and all the letters I've written and all the poetry or all the all the trying to raise money for this cause or for that cause. At my age, I thought maybe this hopefulness within me that was probably planted as a kid when I saw the civil rights movement, when I saw what was going on there, and it seemed like there was some advance. There was, and there is some advance, but it is one step forward and 37 steps back. And we just went through the biggest, you know, shit show that I remember seeing in my life, you know. But what I love about it is, and what I take away, maybe Roger would just say, "You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about," is that I think underneath the underlying message here is to follow the light. You know, it's dark. It's all like, it's like a fun house. I see it as a fun house. It's a spook house, you know? Okay, you're taking this ride and there's a lot of scary stuff along the way. But when you get out, you're like, you've gone through this cathartic journey, which this album is a fantastic cathartic journey, and it loops back on itself. You can listen to it over and over again. Some people just think this is a great album to have sex to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've had that answer. Why do people keep buying this record? Why do people just keep, like, lowering the lights and getting high and listening to this record? And, it's amazing that you find out that, the teenage motif is forever. It really is. I mean, it's just becomes high school with money as we go on. It's just like it's still high school. It's just that some of us have more money than others, and that means that some, people, and there are plenty of, as we see with the governor of Florida and various people around the country, there's a lot of hall monitors out there trying to tell people that they're in for big detentions. So,
Lunatics
you
in the
know,
hall.
well, I was one of those, I'm sure, and so, I mean, I had a great time writing this book. I certainly hope people will enjoy the ride. It's quite a detour to the moon, but really, that's my forte, is interesting detours.